How the Apostles Lived, 2,000 years ago. Historical documentary. Paragraph 1. 2,000 years ago, the world of the Apostles was vastly different from anything we know today. The region of Galilee and Judea, under the heavy hand of the Roman Empire, was a land of social hierarchies, religious expectation, and constant economic struggle. Most apostles were born into ordinary, working-class families, performing tasks that required physical strength, resilience, and daily endurance. Fishermen like Peter, Andrew, James, and John began their mornings before dawn, hauling heavy nets into wooden boats, their hands raw and calloused from years of labor. Tax collectors like Matthew faced social disdain and political pressure, often living under the constant threat of retaliation or public humiliation. The population at the time was largely illiterate, with formal education available only to the privileged few, meaning many apostles grew up without learning to read or write, relying instead on oral tradition and practical knowledge. Despite these hardships, spiritual life was central to daily existence. Synagogues served as educational, religious, and social centers, where Jewish men learned to read the Torah, recite prayers, and participate in local governance. Festivals, pilgrimages to the Jerusalem Temple, and observance of dietary laws structured the rhythm of life, while expectations of a Messiah to liberate Israel imbued the population with hope and longing. The apostles' early years were therefore shaped not only by labor and survival, but also by a sense of spiritual anticipation, which would later prepare them to understand and follow the radical teachings of Jesus. In addition, political tension simmered beneath the surface as Roman authorities imposed taxes, monitored movement, and maintained strict control over local governance. Any dissent could lead to punishment, exile, or crucifixion, creating an atmosphere of quiet anxiety that influenced how communities operated and how individuals like the apostles viewed the world around them. This combination of physical labor, spiritual expectation, and political pressure formed the foundation for the lives that would later undergo an extraordinary transformation. Paragraph 2. When Jesus began his public ministry, the apostles faced the monumental decision to abandon the lives they had always known. For men accustomed to the steady rhythm of work, fishing the waters of Galilee, collecting taxes, or performing small trades, this step meant giving up financial stability, social respect, and personal safety. Traveling with Jesus required complete reliance on hospitality, faith, and community support. The apostles walked long, sun-scorched paths between towns and villages, often encountering difficult terrain, dangerous animals, or the threat of bandits. Nights were spent wherever shelter could be found, in the homes of supporters, in crowded communal spaces, or even outdoors in open fields. Meals were scarce and simple, often consisting of bread, fish, lentils, or whatever food the local population could offer. Yet these hardships were accompanied by extraordinary experiences that would shape their spiritual understanding. The apostles observed first-hand miracles, blind men receiving sight, lepers healed, paralytics walking, and vast crowds listening attentively to parables and teachings that challenged their preconceived notions of God, justice, and morality. They were often confronted with the challenge of balancing human fear with spiritual courage. Many did not fully grasp the implications of Jesus' teachings or the destiny that awaited them. Social rejection was common. In many towns, local populations viewed them as insignificant or disruptive. Their understanding of leadership, service, and sacrifice evolved gradually through direct experience as they witnessed both the joy of communal faith and the cruelty of entrenched authority. Over time, these experiences forged a resilience that would become essential as they faced not only societal rejection, but eventually persecution. In essence, the apostles' lives during this period were a delicate mixture of physical endurance, spiritual instruction, and social vulnerability, preparing them for the ultimate challenges of spreading a new faith across hostile and divided regions. Paragraph 3. Life as an apostle was not merely physically demanding, but also emotionally and politically tense. The Roman Empire maintained strict oversight of the region, ensuring that any form of assembly, preaching, or mass gathering could be interpreted as a threat to imperial authority. Jewish religious leaders, meanwhile, were fiercely protective of their traditions, temple authority, and social influence, leading to constant friction with Jesus and his followers. The apostles witnessed debates between Jesus and the Pharisees, Sadducees, and scribes, often involving accusations of blasphemy, hypocrisy, or disruption of religious law. These confrontations were not only intellectually challenging, but also dangerous, as Rome and local authorities were quick to suppress dissent that could incite unrest. The apostles experienced the volatility of public opinion, observing firsthand how admiration could quickly turn into hostility, how crowds could shift from cheering to condemning, and how once welcomed visitors could suddenly become threats. They learned that their mission required patience, courage, and the ability to navigate fear, doubt, and uncertainty. When Jesus was arrested and crucified, the apostles' world collapsed. Many hid in fear, struggling with grief, confusion, and the paralyzing uncertainty of the moment. Despite this, they began to internalize lessons about trust, sacrifice, and spiritual resilience, laying the foundation for the post-resurrection period of their lives. Their experiences demonstrate the very human side of these figures, revealing vulnerability, fear, and emotional complexity alongside courage, commitment, and emerging faith. Through this lens, one can understand that the apostles were ordinary people facing extraordinary circumstances, whose resilience and transformation would eventually inspire generations far beyond their original communities. Paragraph 4. After the resurrection of Jesus, the apostles embarked on journeys that tested not only their physical endurance, but also their faith, intelligence, and adaptability. They traveled across Judea, Samaria, and distant regions such as Syria, Asia Minor, Greece, and even Rome, sharing a message that was initially met with skepticism, resistance, or outright hostility. Roads were poorly maintained and fraught with dangers, from bandits and wild animals to extreme weather and treacherous seas. Ships were small, fragile, and often overcrowded, making maritime travel risky and unpredictable. Despite these challenges, the apostles relied on manual labor, hospitality networks, and the support of local believers to sustain themselves while preaching in marketplaces, synagogues, and private homes. Their teachings emphasized compassion, forgiveness, and devotion to God, attracting small communities that would become the foundation of early Christian congregations. Many apostles faced imprisonment, public beatings, or persecution from both Roman and local authorities. They were constantly challenged to reconcile the need for practical survival with their spiritual mission. The combination of physical danger, social marginalization, and religious opposition shaped a lifestyle that demanded discipline, faith, and extraordinary resilience. Over time, their efforts created networks of believers who shared not only spiritual practices, but also mutual support in times of danger, sickness, or scarcity. This period highlights the apostles' transformation from humble followers of a local teacher into visionary leaders capable of navigating political, social, and religious complexities in order to spread their message across an empire resistant to change. Paragraph 5. The final years of the apostles were marked by extraordinary sacrifice, suffering, and devotion. Historical traditions suggest that many met their deaths as martyrs, refusing to renounce the teachings they had spread throughout the Mediterranean world. Peter is believed to have been crucified in Rome, James, the son of Zebedee, executed in Jerusalem, and other apostles traveled to distant lands to preach, facing harsh climates, hostile authorities, and extreme poverty. Their lives illustrate a profound transformation. Men who were once ordinary laborers and fishermen became the driving force behind a movement that would influence the course of human history for millennia. Their daily realities, long walks across rough terrain, simple and uncertain meals, physical exhaustion, and constant social risk, were intertwined with deep spiritual conviction and the courage to face persecution. The Apostles' legacy is not simply religious, it is historical and cultural, showing how ordinary individuals, guided by vision, faith, and resilience, can affect the world in ways that resonate thousands of years later. Their story offers insights into the human experience, demonstrating the power of dedication, moral courage, and belief in a cause greater than oneself. Looking back across 2 millennia, we see that the Apostles' lives were defined not by comfort or status, but by extraordinary endurance, unwavering faith, and an ability to inspire communities in a time of uncertainty, fear, and political oppression. This historical perspective allows modern audiences to appreciate the sheer magnitude of their accomplishments, the realities of first-century life, and the enduring influence of these remarkable individuals on human civilization.